I beg your pardon.
beg my pudding.
Well,
spelling.
Oh, make a bit of a mess over there, are you, with your whiskey?
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, and welcome to another episode. Just making sure I've got my papers in order.
We're just rolling on through, aren't we? Welcome back to Chat the Week.
Welcome to Chat the Week, episode 4.
That's gone very fast.
Doesn't time fly?
It really does, yes.
And the phrase goes, it flies when you're
having fun.
Now,
I'd love some more people to join us and have some more fun. At the moment, we've got 2 regular listeners, and we know already that we know
who they are. John Leroy still claims he's listened, but we also know that your cousin is listening.
In
so
Canada. And actually,
someone is lying to us.
I can tell you exactly who's lying. I've worked it out. It's Leroy, because we know that John is, because John was able to quote back to us everything that we spoke about last week.
Yes.
And Leroy doesn't seem to know anything. And also, I looked on the stats, and you can see that we have a listener in Canada, and I know for a fact that that's my cousin Phil.
Gosh, and that's very nice of Phil to be joining, and we'll pick up on
hello to Canada,
Leroy, another time. But hello, Canada. Yes, hopefully people tuning in soon enough from the 4 corners of the world. Before we start, you had a busy night last night, didn't you? You were.
No, I went for the
because I know the listeners like to know a bit more about us. So
this is peering behind the curtain here. I went for the first time ever to the horse racing.
Goodness.
Now, I've seen horses before, but I've never seen them racing. And
yes, you've just seen them, you see them in the field, or on television.
It was remarkably impressive.
Gosh.
Now, they run very, very fast. But the thing that really struck me, that I couldn't stop thinking about it all evening, was that I thought, imagine if I was an alien and I'd come down and landed on this particular patch of Earth. In this
Where
case,
was it?
Chelmsford City
Chelmsford.
Racecourse.
So you've come down from the universe,
the
the galaxy,
and arrived,
and you've gone with Chelmsford. Here we are.
Chelmsford City Racecourse is where you landed. And imagine what they would think, because they wouldn't know. I suddenly realised that aliens wouldn't know that we weren't just another species of animal. They wouldn't know about humans.
Well, in a way, I suppose we are another species of animal,
this was the remarkable thing that I thought.
Charles Darwin discovered.
Well, this was what I thought. And
take it with a pinch of salt, of course. But
I realised that you have one species of animal riding on the back of a different species of animal in a very, very organised way, but there's only one of the species of animal who are spectating. And I assume the aliens would think, why are none of them, they wouldn't know the name horse, but they would think, why are none of the horses watching the races?
Do you think that would be the first thing they would be wondering if they'd landed in Chelmsford?
Well, I suppose they may also be wondering, what is grass, or,
That's what I was thinking, or, gosh, what a impressive civilization to have made a place as wonderful as Chelmsford.
Also, they wouldn't be far away from Stansted Airport, so they may see planes. Although I would imagine if they'd managed to reach Chelmsford, or Earth more generally, then they wouldn't be that impressed by planes.
Well, listeners and viewers, it's been, I'd say, a very dramatic week in European affairs.
Are we going to talk about the robbery?
We're talking about the robbery.
I have absolutely loved this. Has been the most excited I've been about any news for a long time.
Been excited about this, haven't you? And
we
just need to just hold our horses a little bit. Well, just a coin of phrase. On Sunday, in broad daylight in Paris, the romantic capital of Europe, there was a robbery at the Louvre Museum, and it involved 3 or 4 masked men. I can see you're grinning when I'm describing this, but remember,
it was like a James Bond, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, many things you could compare it to, but remember, just trying to keep our excitement under control. 3 to 4 masked men climbing a ladder clambered in at the first floor of the Louvre and smashed their way in to one of the galleries with power tools, threaten the guards as well, which is very serious, although thankfully nobody was hurt. And they made off with what I've got written down here is £76 million worth of jewellery, including what remains of the French crown jewels. I can see you're itching to come in, so go on. Well, the floor is yours.
I heard a spokesperson say that actually 76 million, did you say? The spokesman said the crown jewels are actually priceless. Not that they're free, but they don't. You couldn't put a price.
You couldn't put a value on something like that, could you? Really?
Now, one thing that brought to my mind was what would they think? Who are they thinking they're going to sell these jewels to?
I think you'd need to do it on the black market somehow.
Where is the black market? I've often wondered that.
Well, it's a good question. I don't know if it's I'd assumed it was a sort of non-physical place, a concept rather than a real market.
Like
but
Wizard of Oz.
Sorry?
Like the Wizard of Oz. Oz isn't a real place. For a long time I thought it was Australia. But
I see.
Like a sort of mythical land.
Yes.
Where you can sell the crown jewels.
Yes. Well, as we've covered in previous episodes, there is a history of criminality there in that part of the world. So, actually, probably not the worst idea. But no, we're not talking about either Australia or the Wizard of Oz. The black market, I suppose it could be in the Black Country.
It could be in the Black Forest.
Or the Black Forest.
That's where you get a gatto.
It certainly is where you get a gatto. Do you remember that enormous gatto that you had once for your
for my birthday?
For your birthday, it must have been 10 years ago, and we all came round.
Yeah, my birthday this week.
And it was your aunt. Of course it is. Goodness, that's come round so fast.
Very soon.
Will you be inviting that aunt again? Who?
No.
She made light work of that Black Forest gatto, didn't she?
As you know, I'm not one for standing on ceremony. I'll be seeing you, of course, and
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
And I'll see John and Leroy, and I'm quite looking forward to just having a nice day where I can think, do you know what? I am going to have seconds, and I'm not going to worry about my waistband.
Well, that's if we're allowed to have second helpings in Keir Starmer's Britain. Remember that?
We did talk about that.
Talked about that issue
John
with the buy
John
one
is
get
already
one free.
turning. Can I say this? Sorry, John. If this is, it's only.
Be careful.
It's actually only going to be you and my cousin Phil who are even hearing
imprisoned.
This. John's been turning a blind eye, and I noticed the other day, for example, you filled up your hot chocolate, didn't you? And that was absolutely fine.
Getting me into hot water now. I'm just worried. I might have to cut this bit out.
No, we can always
authorities will be clamping down on us for flouting the no buy one get one free.
That's fine.
But you're right, and that is an example perhaps of a black market, and indeed quite French to be, because this is one of the things that was coming up for me. They're not a law-abiding people in general, are they? But yeah, what do you think of the French generally? Are you a fan of that?
Most of my knowledge of the French comes from one of my favourite films, which I've watched many times. Carry On, Don't Lose Your Head. And it's about the French Revolution, and it's all to do with, chopping off royalty's head.
I've not seen it, but does it have
You've
all
not seen
not that one?
Oh.
No. But Barbara Windsor, is she in it? Kenneth Williams?
Barbara Windsor isn't in that one, actually. Sid James is. Kenneth Williams is in it. As you know, Kenneth Williams is one of my favourite actors of all time. I love all the Carry On films, as you know.
Well, I know. Second only to James Bond for you, I think, isn't it?
Carry On Camping.
Carry On Up the Khyber.
I love Carry On.
Yeah,
Carry On Camping, actually, that's an interesting one because Barbara Windsor's in that.
She certainly is.
And
all of her.
I don't know if I can say it, but she gets her breasts out. She flings her. I've seen it lots of times. She flings her arms wide, and her bosoms just they come out, and you see it.
I remember the first time you had seen that movie. It was I was familiar with it, but had forgotten, and you'd seen it the night before. You came sprinting into the moon under the water to tell us about that scene. I think you went on about it for honestly about 45 minutes, describing
I rewound it
anatomical
over
detail.
Again. I couldn't believe it because someone like Barbara Windsor, you don't expect to see her breasts. You just don't.
You'd expect it of Vanessa Redgrave or one of those,
Helen Mirren. I've seen her breasts more times than anyone else. Really.
Those lefty sort of,
Barbara Windsor,
free love, all that sort of generation.
Peggy Mitchell, the landlady of the Vic in what's it called, EastEnders.
In EastEnders, yeah.
With her breasts out in a field. Anyway, That's a brilliant
Well,
film. Isn't it? I mean, I love.
we
all
were
the
talking
Carry-Ons.
about the French, but I mean, they
Yes,
are
sorry,
they
yeah.
are a nation of romantics.
Well, Paris is the city of sex, isn't it?
The city of love, I believe, is the.
Oh,
is the-
sorry, yeah,
is
it's
the
the
phrase.
same difference, isn't it?
So that's your impression of the French. There are people known for sort of
Chopping each other's heads off.
chopping each other's heads off. They're quite emotional. The people, great lovers, supposedly.
I don't think they all shave.
The men.
No, the ladies.
Oh goodness.
So I've heard. I've never.
Just returning to this subject of the jewelry incident. See if there's anything more
Now, well,
to cover. They go on. What?
Well, I was just going to say that you're quite against it, aren't you? The idea of I am against the idea of robbery, but this isn't a robbery. This is a heist, and I think very, very different. If it feels like it lives in the world of a Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, then I think bloody well go for it.
And now it means that no one's able to enjoy those crowns and tiaras, the things that were stolen.
Well, no,
necklaces.
someone is. The thieves will be enjoying them. Does that not give you some comfort?
I think I'd rather that they were on display for everyone to enjoy, although then that does get into the question of how much enjoyment is there to be found in going around a gallery in a museum looking at bits and bobs in a glass case.
I never.
Do you enjoy a gallery?
No, not at all.
a
As you
museum?
know, my feelings on. I think paintings are a complete waste of time. I do like music.
Are there no paintings that come to your mind that you like? No artists? Picasso? for instance?
Absolutely not Picasso. I think he's
Too
absolutely
wacky.
dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
Yes,
he couldn't even paint. I mean, that was crazy. There are certain ones. The ones I like are two types of art I actually enjoy. I like ones that look like a photograph. You know, when they're very, very well done.
Televisual,
When
photographic
they're
quality.
They're painting, but they've made it look like real life. I love that. And on the other side of the scale, I absolutely love those caricature portraits that you get on holidays. I think
there'll be a little man
because I had one
sitting saying, "Come over, have a sketch," and then you say, "Okay."
Are so fast. I'll show you. I'll bring it. In fact, we'll post it on. We'll put it up on here. I've got a picture of me that someone drew, and it took the chap maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Bush, and it was the absolute spitting image of me. If I had a nose that was half the size of my face.
They do tend to make you a little ugly.
Well, my nose is, I've got a Roman nose, Roman all over my face. But in the drawing, it was even bigger.
Yes, they tend to exaggerate those features. I remember when I had one of those done. I think it was at a sort of. It wasn't in a foreign country. It was in a day trip down to London, and I thought, the gentleman over there, little man in a chair, offering to do it, and he painted me with just the most ridiculous sort of bug eyes and floppy haircut. No, I wasn't funny.
You didn't like
actually.
it?
I didn't like it.
You
I
have
put
to
it
be quite
straight in the
self-deprecating
bin.
to enjoy that.
Yes, well, I think my as someone who prides himself on being well turned out in my physical appearance, I didn't like the way he'd done it at all. I think it was a prick to my ego. But in terms of galleries generally, I would rather that things were kept in their rightful place. However, I do think the enjoyment from going to a museum and staring at a brooch or something in a glass case, surrounded by hundreds of other people queuing for hours to go in, it's a bit overrated. You get there and you go, yeah, that looks like the photograph I saw on the internet.
Do you know what I think all the time?
Crap.
I constantly think, how on earth have art galleries and museums survived the invention of the television? Because now we've got the television. Why would you ever need to go and stand and look at pictures that people have painted?
Complete The Wheel with Michael McIntyre instead, for example.
You could put Channel 4 on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you'd have quizzes right the way through till 6.
It's far more interesting, I agree. 2 quick things I wanted to mention.
We're in absolutely no rush, are we?
Well, the only rush is to make sure that the listeners have all bases covered, of course, for their news for the week. But
some people, but I know for a fact, John said already, he's now stopped listening to the news and is using this as his way of getting this, which makes me feel very, very flattered to feel that we're such serious journalists that we're bringing news to the people of the village.
The 2 things I wanted to mention on this robbery story. This has happened once before. Apparently, it was a humiliation for the security at the Louvre because the last time was in 1911, so over 100 years ago, where...
And the same security staff? Or different?
I assume different. I mean...
But if
it would... although you're...
That would explain quite a lot.
Explain an awful lot if they were...
100-year-old.
Well, they'd be much older than that unless they'd been...
Or maybe that's what happened before.
Children.
There were babies the first time,
just
and then
do the
this
math.
time they're old. They're 110.
In which case, both decisions by the
Stupid.
proprietors to employ
But of
them
course,
would have been,
well,
it can't be
during
that, can
the
it?
prime of their lives, right the way from teenagers through till being elderly pensioners. Admittedly, they had managed to look after the jewels. This is twaddle. I'm being silly.
It's an interesting point, because if it was the same security staff, it would explain why, as you say, in the prime of their lives, they've done a good job, and maybe this is a sign that the game's up, time to replace these decrepit old people who are probably in their 120s.
They probably just refused to retire.
Well,
that's a very French thing to do.
No, it's the opposite. The French are all retiring, by the time they get to
they do what they like.
35,
What I mean is...
the work-shy part of the continent.
They are horrible people, aren't they?
Well, no, let's not get into tarring everyone with the same brush. There must be some French people we admire.
Absolutely none that I can think of.
None for you. Not even... I'm trying to think.
This is the point, isn't it?
Brigitte Bardot, was she French?
Never heard of her.
You must have heard of Miss Brigitte Bardot.
Was she an actress?
She was a sex symbol back in the day.
Oh, was she?
Pardon my French.
Wow.
But she was an actress. She was a sex symbol in the 1950s or 40s.
Would she have been
perhaps?
in any carry-on films or anything like that?
I don't think Brigitte Bardot would have been in a carry-on movie, but she in some ways was a bit like a sort of Barbara Windsor.
Really?
Blonde, buxom lady.
She was she? And so if she'd been in one of the carry-on films, do you think she would have seen her breasts?
Brigitte Bardot? It's possible. I think... I'm sure there would have been some clamour for that.
In the same way that, one of the more liberal actors, I was going to say a horrible word, one of the liberal actresses, like your Barbara Windsors, like your Helen Mirrens.
Constantly getting out their crown jewels for all to see. Although is that just men who have crown jewels? I don't know.
I don't know.
The family jewels. The wedding vegetables, that's another phrase.
Wedding
that
vegetables,
people
I've never heard that.
Sorry, it's
what's that about?
Getting a bit crass, but that's it's a euphemism.
The wedding vegetables.
Not heard that phrase to refer to.
And is that about the breasts or the vagina?
No, not it's the wedding vegetables specifically.
Lettuce. Brought to mind lettuce.
What did?
Wedding vegetables.
No, I think why lettuce for a lady?
Well, I mean,
should we?
I'm sure the listeners can imagine.
Well, I don't know if we want them to imagine. It's a politics podcast, and it's been getting a bit blue this episode.
It's
the wedding vegetables, which is a phrase I'm now hugely regretting introducing to the conversation, is a phrase referring to the gentleman's area.
Oh,
not a lady.
Oh, sorry. So less lettuce, more carrot.
Exactly, meat and two veg.
Aubergine
is a phrase that you would have been familiar with. And I can't remember for the life of me how we got onto this. What I was trying to talk about was why in 1911 it was the Mona Lisa that was briefly stolen. And
right.
Any thoughts on the Mona Lisa as an
artwork? Absolutely. I've no idea why people go on about.
Boring, isn't it?
It's
just
the most
a woman
boring
sitting there looking sort of vacantly out at the canvas.
Gosh, honestly, I've
never understood the appeal.
Why would you travel all the way to Paris to look at that painting?
A random woman.
Absolutely.
I don't know, is she famous? Probably not as famous as the Barbara Windsor of her day.
No. Well,
I wonder if she would be as well known as Barbara Windsor for the sort of activities you were talking about earlier on.
Bust open her bikini.
Well, she's not in a bikini in the photo. The painting,
but if she was, then...
Well, then maybe it would be worth going to see
Very different.
See how it'd be a different sort of, not for myself, just hasten to add, but for
Certainly for me.
for you and other hot-blooded men who are into that sort of thing.
Mm.
I think that probably rounds up our section on Paris and the Louvre.
The art and crime section, all in one.
Perfect. So we'll breeze forward, breakneck speed to our second item for the day, which is a little closer to home. I don't know if you've been following this, Henry. There's been a by-election in Wales.
No. Well, I read that there'd been a by-election.
That's good.
But I didn't quite know what it meant. I assumed by meaning two.
Two elections.
Two elections, but it's not that.
No, I don't think it does mean that.
And I have looked it up. It is an election that happens when, for some reason or other, and this is important for the listeners to understand, the incumbent or the old
yes, exactly,
politician is no longer there, whether they've died or been discovered to be a paedophile. Usually they're the two.
Yes, disgrace himself in some way.
Was this a death or a paedophilia?
Well, we've moved on from the French section, remember. I think we're now in... The Welsh don't have the same reputation. I could understand... No, not in... They've got a reputation for...
Bestiality.
I was not going to say that was their reputation. I was going to say for rugby, but... But I suppose... That, yes, there was some crude humour around...
This is a lot of sheep, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's necessarily steeped in fact. I think it's just
it's an assumption.
There's
people
so many sheep
make. It's
that you assume that surely some of the sheep.
I think this is getting into somewhat unseemly territory.
No, we shouldn't.
But you're right in that it is almost a certainty in pure statistical probability terms that at least one sheep in Wales living currently will have been interfered with by a farmer or a person.
And you say at least one, I say at least 100.
How many people are there in Wales? I don't know, a few million. So, I mean, yes, that would still
There's
be...
There's absolutely loads of them.
Returning to the story, briefly, the by-election happens and they choose a new MP. The people vote. And often by-elections are used as a chance for people to vent their underlying discontent at the government of the day. So, record turnout.
Mm-hmm.
The seat was won, drum roll please, by, just make sure I say this right, Plaid Cymru Party. You heard of them?
It's spelt Plaid, isn't it?
Spelt Plaid Cymru.
Oh, God.
Well, it's
now
it's Welsh, so it's a different language.
Welsh. It's a made-up language. I mean, honestly,
it was won by Plaid Cymru, the Welsh Nationalist Party, who want to break away from the UK.
Well, I would support that.
You'd support that, would you?
Absolutely. That's having a good result for me.
You'd support the breakup of the union on the basis of just because you're not so keen on the Welsh? Is that the reason?
Well, I like the Scots.
All right, so you...
And I quite like the Irish. In fact, what we could do, this is a novel idea. I don't know how it would fly. Imagine if we were to just swap, not the land mass,
the people.
The people. So we did a direct, so we took all the Northern Irish folk and we brought them over to Wales, and then we sent all the Welsh over to Northern Ireland. And that way it would just make a lot more sense, wouldn't it? Because we say if they vote they want to leave, we say, okay, fine. You can.
But we'll have the Irish in the Northern Irish.
And we'll have the Northern Irish. They'll come over here.
You go to Belfast.
They can become New Wales and you can be Old Wales over there. And problem solved.
I mean, the Northern Irish are famously fairly uptight when it comes to geographical distinctions. And I fear that you would...
The Troubles, they call it. The Troubles.
That's exactly what I'm alluding to.
And this would be more trouble.
Well, I think importing the entire population of Northern Ireland to Wales against their will to live in, Anglesey or Cardiff or whatever, I think they might respond poorly to that.
Some might.
They're very fond of Northern Ireland. Then we have, in second place, The Reform Party. Remember them?
We do know them. Mr. Farage.
And Labour were left trailing a distant third. Plaid Cymru and Reform
Right.
dominating the vote, and the two traditional parties, Labour and the Conservatives, getting a bloody nose. So what could the Labour Party, do you think, do in Wales to revive their fortunes, given that they're hemorrhaging these votes? Reopen the coal mines, perhaps?
That's quite a good idea. They like that, wouldn't they? They would.
We could put them back to put them back to work in the coal mines. That might. Do you think that would be a popular policy for?
I'd imagine. So. They seem to absolutely bang on about it all the time, don't they? They love the fact that they used to be miners, and they hate the fact that they're not anymore. Yeah, fine. Reopen the mines.
But do you think that would work? I mean,
I don't know. I'm not a geo expert. I don't know.
It
not a geologist.
Feels like a bit of a step back to the past. Potentially, but maybe it would be popular. I wouldn't mind if they did it.
I absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, provided they stay in Wales, they can do what the hell ever they like.
More sheep. That's another thing they could do. That policy would probably be very popular in Wales.
More sheep, yes.
So to wrap up, it sounds like even though this is a bad result for Secure Prime Minister Starmer, you wouldn't be too worried if you were him. You'd be prepared to write this one off because it's Wales. Is that really what you think?
Yeah, fine, just leave it.
Are there no Welsh people that you've been a fan of? In Shirley Bassey, for instance, or Tom Jones, the Tom?
Tom Jones, is he Welsh?
There's very much Welsh. Yeah, he's a proud Welshman. You like Tom Jones, don't you?
I do like Tom Jones. That's confusing.
What is it you like about him so much? I've never been so sure.
I absolutely love the timbre of his voice and the sort of sexiness of the way he holds himself.
He's always, whenever you see a photo of him, chest hair fully out, proud. Groin thrusting towards the camera.
Yeah, very, very strong presence.
Yeah, you like that. I mean, maybe the Prime Minister could persuade Tom Jones to stand in as an MP for Labour.
That might.
In Wales. That might be a policy everyone could get behind.
Absolutely.
You're the leader of the Welsh Labour Party. Sex bomb Tom Jones.
Perfect. That's it. That's well sorted.
All right. Well, that may be bringing us to the end.
Time flies.
Of another episode. So, let's finish there, and all that remains, if you're happy, remains to be said.
Is goodbye from me, Henry.
And it's goodbye from me, Stephen.
And keep chatting the week. Very, very good. I enjoyed that immensely.
Wasn't it fun?
It was very fun.
I think we were pretty even-handed with most of the nationalities we discussed.
Yes.
As we always are.
Tolerance.